Hey there, internets. Welcome back to From My Grandfather's Desk with another Saturday Night Rant. Picked up another subscriber. I'm actually up to a whole 15. Let's see if, for those of you dropping in here and there, maybe, of course, if everyone could share it with your friends, like it, leave a comment. I appreciate even the negative ones. I've got one friend, I'm going to be asking him, what were you meaning by that? Because usually he and I agree on most things. Because I got really good response as far as views on the Joe Biden's loan giveaway, which something I didn't think about when I was making that. Another way you can pay for your college, all of you, if you're a young person trying to figure out, is ROTC. I hadn't thought about that when it just occurred to me today. I forgot to include that. Now, you'll have to serve in the military for a while, but hey, you are earning it, and a lot of people appreciate what you do to earn it. I am working on the lighting. I was told by a friend who did share this with his friends that the overhead light doesn't work so well, at least at this point, just because of the way this room is set up. So I'm stuck with my fluorescent lamp. Another thing has been ongoing is, I was going to make a short of this, but, you know, us conservatives, sometimes we just got to yield and get with the program. So, one of the things is you got all these liberals doing neo-pronouns. And I wanted to address this because I see this, you know, these people with the purple hair and the 57 piercings who identify as a pincushion in their face. They're piercings in their face, 57 of them, probably to match the 57 genders. And, you know, sometimes we got to yield. So we got to understand that, you know, if they expect us to use their pronouns, fine. Then, you know, okay, that means we get to have our own pronouns. So I think it's very important that, you know, we set those boundaries with the other side there, and make sure our pronouns are clear. Now, some people like to stay with that whole he, she, you know, he, him, his thing, she, hers, she, her, hers. But, you know, I gotta say that my pronouns are master, master, self. And I know a lot of conservatives out there, you won't want to do it, but I forgive you because you just don't get it. You know, a lot of us aren't modernizing. But for all you liberals, I expect you to use my neo-pronouns of master, master, self. And so you all understand, I see them saying, you know, they identify as a human, so they say, my you know, and then they start saying, Hugh this, Hugh that. You know what? That's fine. So just so you understand how that works, it would be, you know, master is in the shower. When Master gets out of the shower, Master wants breakfast, and Master's going to have some biscuits and gravy with 2 eggs over easy on top and 4 strips of bacon on the side, and Master would like it all on one plate. But Master will put the tea in Master's mug, Master's self, and put the sugar in Master's self. So I expect you all to use it because liberals, you made up these rules that you expect us to follow. You got to follow them yourself. So for all the conservatives out there, feel free to make up whatever pronouns you want and expect all these liberal woke types to use them. I fully expect to hear somewhere, people seeing this video, what their neo-pronouns are going to be for they expect liberals to use. And some liberal screeching, probably. So, going on through tonight's kind of rant here, Dimension Joe decided that he'd do another speech on gun control, and it was wanting to said if we can just get a couple more senators, we can ban assault weapons. Well, that's not going to hold up in court, for one. But liberal Democrats, let's just think about how this is going to work. Somehow you keep the House, which is unlikely, even if you do better, if there's not a red wave. Then you can manage to get a couple seats in the Senate. But even though you're thinking you can create we get to permanently win forever, that's not realistic. At some point, you will lose. And if you can't push it far far enough, fast enough, the Senate map for 2024 ain't looking good. And when you're pushing policy like California is trying to set the wages for fast food workers, wanting to make it $22 an hour now, and have the government set their schedules, it's just not going to go well for you if you keep going down bad economic paths. We all know what James Carville said when Clinton was running for president the first time. He said, it's the economy, stupid. And they're expecting a recession next year. And we did have a good BLS report and whatnot, but it's kind of expected. And that I would hate to see bad things happen. I don't want to be the guy that wins with bad things, but that's realistic. The Senate map for 2024 does not look good. So here's a scenario. You abolish the filibuster. You pack the Supreme Court. You proceed to ban guns, codify Roe v. Wade, push through single-payer health care, generally trash the economy, jack up taxes, for everybody making over $10,000 a year because that's what you think is high earners. Because, best way to starve a Democrat is hide his food stamp card under a pair of boots. And what's going to end up happening is we end up with the Senate and the House and the presidency. So imagine Senate Majority Leader Ted Cruz. I'm kind of getting a little bit irritated with Rick Scott right now, even though McConnell needs to be primaried. So we're going to assume somebody else. Senate Majority Leader Ted Cruz. Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy. President Ron DeSantis. And no filibuster to stop them. Think long and hard about that. What do you really want to have? You really want to escalate things again and have that combination ready to repeal all your gun control, outright ban abortion in most cases, pack the Supreme Court on their own terms. If you add 4 justices, okay, we add 6. You know where that's going. And then proceed to repeal socialized medicine, massive tax cuts, massive spending cuts that you can't stop. Granted, budget bills start in the House and cannot be filibustered. That's why I was very irritated with my own party when they did not repeal Obamacare when they had the Senate by using the same method that the Democrats used to pass it, which was reconciliation. So you think long and hard about that. But for the rest of us working against it, he wants to pass an assault weapons ban. And that just goes right along with the Democrats are coming for your guns. My next project is going to be to get the Washington State version of that out. So, that was where Joe Biden started. Then he had his, it was Project Veritas, which I'll talk to you about in a few minutes, which was going to be kind of the main thing. Then he does his speech, which even my wife, who is not nearly as conservative as I, wanted to throw a brick at the television when she was listening to part of it over at her parents, where the imagery that was used just said, "We will now organize the country into the first American empire." He wanted to put the Palpatine robe on him. Not a good look. And to make everybody else to be the other. All right, I'm not a big Trump fan, but I do not agree with. I was a Ted Cruz guy. I do not agree with the Democrats on immigration. I am not for amnesty. I'm all for securing the border. I am not for just letting it go. I am not a fan of either creating wars everywhere or withdrawing everywhere. I'm kind of in the middle between the Hate America left and the neocons and the Palestinians, or Paulbots. I'm not a fan. I'm all for a flat tax. I am all for parents having the say in their education. Again, we'll be going to Project Veritas's latest, I'll say antics, but that's only because they do their whole hidden camera thing. So I am very much on the right, and you're going to try and make me the other, or make everybody else that's not you the other. It sounds like authoritarianism to me. A person that respects the Constitution would be an originalist, not pushing this living, breathing Constitution crap. So we got Dementia Joe trying to make himself into a dictator. Then Project Veritas, back to them. This is kind of a doozy. And I will include links to their 2 videos in the description below. The video that he did was he sent somebody undercover. The first part, called Secret Curriculum Part 1. Assistant principal at a school district in Connecticut was caught on camera talking about how he doesn't hire conservatives or Catholics, and is basically trying to stack the deck with the teachers that will push a progressive, woke, Democrat agenda on students, but do it subtly so they don't get caught. And of course, it's an attractive woman with somebody that's much younger than apparently than the principal. It should be like the clue that it's James O'Keefe. Young attractive gal is interested in a gray-haired assistant principal. Where's the hidden camera? Come on. And suddenly, we hear him talking about, I asked this question. How would you handle a student that says that they're non-binary? And he's trying to push an agenda. And I've known some teachers say, "Oh no, that doesn't happen." One of them she's like, "All the teachers I know are conservative." Maybe at your school that would be unusual, or maybe you're just so far to the left and you have no clue where you sit compared to the rest of society. I'm to the right. I know I'm to the right. I don't pretend to be something else. But somehow, and I've noticed it happens more on the right than the left, you have these people that think they're somehow in the middle when they are most definitely to the left of most of the society. So don't tell me this doesn't happen. And now we have a principal that's actually stacking the deck. We have teachers making videos bragging about how they convinced a class to switch their gender identities. How they got somebody to come out, and showing how they encourage kids to be so accepting of that whole thing. The Quartering shared with commentary a video of a gal who said, I get them all little pride flags. And she pulls out a fistful of flags, and you had the normal red, rainbow pride flags, and I saw a bunch of the, included in her little fistful was some minor attracted persons pride flags. Apparently there is one. They say it's for non-offending, but there's nothing special to be a non-offending fan of the playground, as Sydney Watson puts it. You don't get a special award or a special flag for that. Okay, when teachers are so comfortable in what they're doing that they are making videos on TikTok and YouTube bragging about it, or talking about how they get their kids to take up progressive causes, and they're bragging about it on video that they made themselves. This isn't even James O'Keefe caught them and edited the video. No, they put the video out themselves. When they're that comfortable, those people have peers that just don't make a video and do it. They have peers that approve it. They have administrators that approve it, and that's got to be the case because they're too comfortable in doing something that they pretty much know they shouldn't be doing. Okay, and so seeing this assistant principal, and he just is the one that got caught. How many other assistant principals, superintendents are like that elsewhere? How many are running around saying, so how would you handle a non-binary student? Or tell me about yourself. What was it like growing up? Really, that's interesting. So, your family was pretty normal? They went to church? Oh, they did. What church? Oh, Catholic. Do you still practice? Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, and then continue on, and then just simply not call them back because they're Catholic. Or because maybe they're Southern Baptist. Or maybe they walk in with a cross on their neck, hanging from a chain around their neck. Oh, you got a crucifix. Okay. Just note, Catholic, don't hire that person. How many are there? That's the one that got caught. We're a massive country. This isn't like we have 3 high schools in the whole country and we're talking about that. And yes, it's gained a little bit because I heard about it because of Tim Pool. It's gotten enough traction in Connecticut that they're starting to investigate. But he says, I just don't interview the older teachers because they're set in their ways. I got news for you. I had a history teacher that was pushing his politics when he taught history. He'd say, see, Republicans, they supported this. There's Republicans, they supported this. All talking about the era of robber barons and the progressives coming up and whatnot post-Civil War. Almost never said anything positive about Republicans. The one thing I'll give him credit for is he actually tried to be a history teacher, even if he was biased. And I actually learned you better have your stuff together and your evidence if you're going to start arguing with people. Because he'd hold up news articles and say, see this news article? Yeah, these old cut out news articles because he'd been teaching there for like 40 years. I guess he finally retired. He had more tenure there than any teacher at Mount Vernon High School at the time. A guy named Arden Negley. And I asked a gal that was taking his class like 7 years later when I was out of my parents' house. He ran into a teenager. She said, oh yeah, he's still there. I said, he's still really liberal? She says, oh yeah. And I've heard students that when I've been running the Republican Fair booth talk about their teachers pushing liberal agendas. I know a teacher in the local schools who is fairly conservative, and she says that there are a lot of liberal Democrats pushing agendas. Most money from teachers in politics goes to Democrats. It's not going to Republicans. If they were conservatives, they'd be giving it to Republicans. I've known maybe 3 teachers that I know are actually conservatives for certain, and one of them I ran into because he was the last one I knew that was at Mount Vernon High School. From when I was there, I was delivering his refrigerator to his apartment, and he said he was going to give the union one chance, and if they didn't like it, he was going to take, after that court case allowing him to not pay the union a dime. And he was just basically, as soon as he could collect his retirement, he was going to bail. So it does happen. And so I said when I shared the Tim Pool video about it, it's just time to shut the public schools down. And honestly, I still feel that way. I was already at the point that you couldn't fix them without withholding the money. One of my early videos. So the only way you're going to make them listen to you is withhold the money. And man, did people get upset on social media when I said I'm voting no on the school bond for their maintenance and operations levy, and people threw a fit. They listened to me when I said I'm not giving you any more money. They weren't willing to listen before, and then they told me I was all wrong, because I'm spending my money I'm having to spend my money for school supplies. Yeah, you do that over every time, and then we buy you more supply, get you more money, so hopefully you don't, and then we say, where'd the money go? Because you're buying supplies again. So, what becomes the option? Homeschool, private school? I'm going to say this, private school, beware. I've often said that the thing with private schools is they have to meet a higher standard than the public schools, and that is customer satisfaction, because that is effectively what the parents are when they choose a private school. And James O'Keefe has another video. It was called The Secret Curriculum Part 2. And it's a female teacher talking to a guy. So it's a woman talking to a man. The man's secretly recording her. And it looks like they're having a beer at a beer garden or some such thing in New York called Trinity School. And she's talking about how that when they would bring in, how she's trying to push, even though they got conservative administrators, how she's trying to push a very liberal woke agenda. And she said, if I'm going to run it, there's just not going to be some speakers that students are going to be given an option to vote for. Because she's saying, I'm going to do it like let the students pick the speakers. And then she just simply doesn't include certain options and different things to try and push a hard liberal agenda in a private school. So buyer beware. Private schools on the possible list for my wife and I. We may homeschool, but definitely buyer beware. And as a martial arts instructor, I have to meet that same standard. Customer satisfaction. Now, I don't get that many just because of my schedule. I'm only 2 nights a week. But the students I do have, I don't have any of the parents that, why isn't my little Johnny advancing? Why isn't my little Johnny getting his black belt yet? Why isn't my little Johnny getting a green belt? He's only an orange belt. The closest I ever came to that conversation, I said, because your son's not doing his stances correctly? And if he would, I would have already tested him. And I get this, and she just looks at him and goes, really? Total support from the parents. Because the parents want that. They know I'm a conservative. They know my values. I don't hide them. But I have to meet that standard. If that limits me, well, at least my students are getting, the parents are having the values they want taught to their students taught. Not that I think that the values in Subakdo are necessarily conservative or liberal, but the point is, they know what they're getting. So I would just say, when it comes to private school, make sure of what's actually being taught, not just what they say. Because sometimes they're not just hiring the certain kinds of ideologies in their employees. Granted, a church-run school does have a lot more leeway in saying, if the teacher does not uphold our values, they're fired. And that's been a battle where, the Catholic Church the Catholic Church has a lot of schools, and they've had these same internal battles of what are the kids being taught, but sometimes they've had a diocese, I believe is the correct term, where they say, you had a lesbian teacher openly in a relationship with her girlfriend, living together, and where that's known about by the students. We can't have that. And they fire the teacher, and then the teacher's trying to sue. Okay. Some religious schools are probably great, some are not. They certainly all do a better job of teaching. But James O'Keefe, once again, uncovering stuff that doesn't want to get talked about and making a big enough stink that it's actually getting looked at in Connecticut by officials. So that's kind of what's been going on this last week. Buyer beware, I guess, on the private schools too. But certainly don't tell me that a woke agenda is not being pushed on students in the public schools, and sometimes very subtly. And that is why Florida's bill is dead on. They said you have to tell us what you're teaching. You have to communicate if there's something that would cause a child distress. You cannot teach about sexuality or gender identity to kids under 3rd grade. And I cannot for the life of me remember what the 4th provision, but there was 4 provisions on that. And that's what they banned, and of course the left wants to call it Don't Say Gay. So I'm going to leave it at that for the Saturday Night Rant, and you all take care. Make sure to smash that like button and share this video with your friends. And until next time, take care.